Hello everyone, so this is Cambridge IGCSE exam for chemistry for May to June 2022. We will try to answer the different questions for this exam. So let's begin. Number 1, which two gases will diffuse at the same rate at the same temperature? The right answer is letter B. Why letter B? Because carbon monoxide and nitrogen. A student measured the time taken for 2.0 grams of magnesium to dissolve to 5 cubic centimeter of dilute sulfuric acid. Which apparatus is essential to complete the experiment? We're only talking about the time, the weight, and the volume of the sulfuric acid. So if we're talking of the time, we have the stop clock. For the weight, we have the balance. And the volume, we will be using the measuring cylinder. So all of these are needed. So we have A, 1, 2, and 4. So the correct answer is letter A. The number of protons and neutrons and the electronic structure of 4 particles W, X, Y, and Z are shown. Which particles have the same chemical properties? If we look closely for W and Z, they have different protons, the same neutrons, however, and the same electronic structure. However, they are not the same. So we'll be removing B. For letter A, we have W and Y. W and Y has the same number of protons, the same neutrons, however, they have different electronic structure, so we will remove that one. For letter C, X and Y, we have the same number of protons, different number of neutrons, and however, they have also the same electronic structure. You will see that they may have different neutrons, however, the neutrons does not affect the atoms themselves because the neutrons has no charge at all. So the correct answer is letter C. Why not X and Z? So X, they have different number of protons, which will affect their stability, as well as different electronic structure. So the correct answer is letter C. Which substance should be pure for the intended use? Of course, if it is used by our body, it should be pure and free of impurities. So we have letter A. Metals and ionic compounds have similarities and differences in their structure and properties. Which row about metals and ionic compounds is correct? Actually, we have already letter A. Why? Because both contain positive ions and only ionic compounds contain anions. Since both can contain positive ions, however, the ionic compounds conduct using a sea of electrons, not only the ionic compounds. Both are malleable? No, they are not both malleable. And what else? So these ones are removed from the choices, as well as this one. So the correct answer is letter. Which diagram represents the outer shell electron arrangement of a nitrogen molecule? So it's very tricky on how the placement of the shell the electron arrangement for nitrogen because it has 5 outer shell electrons. However, letter D is the correct answer. Why? Because 2 electrons should be placed in the outer part, and in the middle we have the 3. So we have 3 pairs found in the middle. Next one. The equation for reaction between barium chloride and dilute sulfuric acid is shown. So we have barium chloride, sulfuric acid, which becomes barium sulfate, and HCl. We all know that HCl is aqueous. BaCl2 or barium chloride is also aqueous, as well as sulfuric acid. However, barium sulfate becomes solid. So the correct answer is letter A. Next number, the relative atomic mass of an element is determined by comparing the mass of one atom of the element with the mass of one atom of element Q. What is Q? Usually they use this type of element in comparing masses. So we have, the correct answer is we have carbon. This is the only element they use in comparing the mass of other elements. The diagram shows the electrolysis of concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated aqueous sodium chloride using carbon electrodes. At which electrode is hydrogen produced? We all know that electrolysis is the splitting of hydrogen and oxygen. However, in this case, because of the hydrochloric acid, this is the splitting of the hydrogen from the chlorine, as well as from, yes. So water or hydrogen is always produced in electrodes 2 and electrode 4. So the correct answer is letter D. The correct answer is letter B. Why is this so? The copper cation will be discharged since copper is less reactive than hydrogen, which means it has less ability to remain positive. Which row identifies a chemical change and a physical change? So we know that chemical changes, they cannot be reverted, while physical change can be reverted. Chemical change, boiling of ethanol, of course, this can be reverted, or boiling it's just boiling. Boiling of ethanol is just boiling. Burning of ethanol, of course, this cannot be reversed, so this is not a physical change. Burning ethanol, of course, this is a chemical change because you cannot bring back the ethanol. Evaporating ethanol, of course, there is no chemical change because it's just evaporated. The ethanol is still there. So the correct answer is letter B. Let's see the others. Burning of ethanol, of course, when you burn it, no more. Dissolving ethanol in water, there is already a reaction of the ethanol and the water, so no more. So this is just a physical change. This one is not. It's a chemical change, yes. However, burning of ethanol is not a physical change. So the correct answer is letter B. The equation for the reaction between gaseous hydrogen and gaseous iodine to form gaseous hydrogen iodide is shown. So it's there. The reaction is exothermic. Which statement explain why the reaction is exothermic? When we're talking about a reaction that is exothermic, it releases more energy than when formed than it used to when they are when the bonds of the different elements or compounds are broken. So the correct answer for this one is letter B. Why? Because the more energy is released when two bonds of hydrogen oxide, this one, are formed, then when in use, if you separate the hydrogen, both two hydrogen and the two iodine bonds are being broken. So the correct answer is letter. Acidified aqueous silver nitrate is added to a test tube containing aqueous chloride ions. The test tube is then left in direct sunlight. Which row describes the observation and explain what happens to the reaction mixture? So upon the observation and adding aqueous silver nitrate, there is a white precipitate, and after leaving it on the sunlight, the precipitate turns gray because the silver ions are reduced. So the correct answer for this one is letter B. So water is added to anhydrous copper 2 sulfate. What happens during the reaction? Let's see. So as water is added, the copper sulfate 2 turns blue, and you can also see the smoke coming out from the solution. So it gets hotter. So the correct answer is, you're right, letter B. Aqueous iron chloride reacts with aqueous potassium iodide. So this is the formula. Which statement are correct? 1. In the balance equation, V, W, X, and Y have the same value. 2. Potassium iodide is an oxidizing agent. Or 3. A dark brown solution is produced in the reaction. Actually, in the balance equation, V, W, X, Y, and Z have the same value. And a dark brown solution is produced in the reaction. So potassium iodide is not an oxidizing agent. So the correct answer is letter B. Next, which statement about acids is correct? Of course, if you look at the choices, a strong acid has a higher pH than a weak acid of the same concentration. This is not correct. Why? Because if the acid is strong, it should have a lower pH. A strong acid is a proton acceptor. It is a proton donor. So we have the weak acid is a proton donor. Yes. A weak acid is fully ionized. No. So the correct answer for this is letter C. The oxides of two elements X and Y are separately dissolved in water, and the pH of each solution is tested. So you have here the X, the pH of the solution is 1, and Y, its pH solution is 13. More or less, X is acidic and 13 is basic. So which information about X and Y is correct? So we have the oxide of acid. I told a while back that it is X. So we already removed these choices. However, let us see. The oxide is basic. Yes, both are. However, X is not a metal. So Y is the metal and X is the non-metal. So the correct answer for this is letter B. An acid is neutralized by adding an excess of an insoluble solid base. A soluble salt is formed. How is the pure salt obtained from the reaction of the mixture? Of course, a salt is a crystal. So we will have, if this is the final result, of course, crystallization will be there. And since the choices in here has no crystallization found at the end, we have the correct answer for this one is letter D. Sometimes you just have to be smart enough to click on the choices instead of just thinking so much about them. Like this one, of course, when the salt is formed, that is the it's a crystal. So that is already the last part. The electronic structure of element Z is 2, 8, and 1. Which statement are about Z are correct? So probably yes, it is a metal. However, it does not say that the outer shell of the electron is 2. However, it is in period 3 because 1, 2, 3. So yes. So the answer is letter C. So it pertains to the element, it is a metal and it is in period. Elements in group 4 of the periodic table are shown. So we have carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, and lead. What does not occur in group 4 as it descended? Of course, the proton number of the elements increases. The elements become more metallic. However, the elements does not have more in their outer shell because they have the same all throughout. And the elements have more electron shells as you go down. So the correct answer for this does not occur is letter C. Element M forms both M positive and M2 positive ions. In which part of the periodic table is M placed? Of course, we all know that this should be part of the transition elements. The correct answer is letter B. In the extraction of aluminum by electrolysis, cryolite is added to bauxite ore. Which row describes the role of cryolite and gives the ionic half equation at the cathode? Actually, the role of the cryolite in the electrolysis of the extraction of aluminum by electrolysis is to lower the melting point of the electrolyte. So we already can remove choices B and A. However, the ionic half equation at the cathode is this equation, not this equation. So the correct answer for this is letter C. So we have the next one. Mild steel is galvanized to prevent corrosion of the iron. Which statements about galvanizing are true? Galvanizing prevents corrosion because the zinc forms an alloy, but this is not the right one, because although zinc actually prevents iron to be corroded. However, galvanizing, yes, it prevents corrosion, but zinc does not form an alloy. So this statement is not correct. If the coating is damaged, water and oxygen do not corrode the iron because it corrodes first the zinc. So this one is correct. Zinc is the sacrificial metal and corrodes in preference to iron because it readily reacts with oxygen. So the correct answer is letter D. Which diagram represents the arrangement of the outer shell electrons of a noble gas? We all know that noble gases has 8 or complete electron shells in their outside electron shells, I should say. However, this is an exemption for helium, which has 2. If we look at B, there are 4. The outer shells for C, there are 6. 2, 4, 6, 7. And letter D is 7. So they are not complete except for letter A, which is the arrangement of helium, which is also a noble gas. So the correct answer is letter A. Which statements are about the general properties of metals are correct? First one, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. That's why we use them as electric cables. They have low melting points? No. They react with dilute acid to form salt and water. That is for the bases. However, they react with oxygen to form basic oxides. So the correct answer for this is 1 and 4. That is found in letter B. The 3 metal compounds J, K, and L are heated using a Bunsen burner. The results are shown. So J has colorless gas produced, which relights a glowing splint, while K has colorless gas produced, which turns to lime water milky, and L has no reaction. Which row identifies J, K, and L? Let us see. This one is magnesium carbonate. When heated using the Bunsen burner, it produces magnesium carbonate. When heated with Bunsen burner, would produce colorless gas, which turns lime water milky. So we have this one in letter C. I'm not saying that this is already the correct answer. So we have the magnesium carbonate for letter K, this one. We also have the colorless gas produced, which relights a glowing splint. That is for the potassium nitrate. And no reaction for potassium carbonate. So the correct answer for this question is letter C. The diagram shows the uses of treatment processes of muddy river water. So we have this. So which row identify uses 1 and 2 and processes 1 and 2? Let us see. For use 1, of course, we cannot use readily muddy river water. So we are not drinking that. And we cannot use disinfected water in watering plants. Of course, there is no chlorination in muddy water. And process 2 is not about just filtration. Let us see for, okay, we will be removing this choice because we already removed choice in drinking for this. And then we have watering crops for use of number 1. Okay, it can be used. Drinking for number 2, it can be. But however, we cannot process it by chlorination if we are just using it for watering crops. So this is not the right answer. The right answer for this is letter D. For use of water of use 1, we have the muddy water. This is for watering crops. Yes, it is also for drinking. However, process 1 is only for filtration. And of course, if you use it for drinking, you have to have it chlorinated. So the right answer is letter D. Fertilizers are used to provide 3 of the elements needed for plant growth. Which 2 compounds would give a fertilizer containing all of these three elements. Actually, the macro elements needed for plant growth, we have nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, sulfur, and magnesium. However, these elements are all found in letter D. So the correct answer for this question is letter D. Which statements about sulfur dioxide are correct? Of course, let's check them one by one. The sulfur dioxide decolorizes as acidified potassium manganate. Yes. Sulfur dioxide forms when acids reacts with carbonates. No. Sulfur dioxide is used as a bleach. Yes. Sulfur dioxide is used to treat acidic soil. No. So the correct answer for this is 1 and 3. That is letter A. What are the products when limestone or calcium carbonate is heated strongly? Actually, when the the limestone, when heated, produces carbon oxide and carbon dioxide. So the correct answer for this is letter C. Ethanol is made industrially by the fermentation of glucose or by the catalytic addition of steam to ethane. Which statement describes an advantage of fermentation compared to the catalytic action? So this one is very advantageous, is an advantage from that of the catalytic addition because of the fermentation uses a renewable. So the correct answer for this is letter D. So it is advantageous because it uses renewable resources. Which polymer is a synthetic polyamide? So actually we have the first one, we have the nylon, which is actually the correct answer. It is a synthetic polyamide. Polyethylene is a synthetic material. However, is not a polyamide. Of course, protein is not synthetic, it's natural. Pterylene is not a polyamide also, although it is synthetic. However, it is a polymer. So the correct answer is letter A. So that's it. Thank you for now. Thank you for watching and have a good day.